solidarity today to stand in solidarity with the Rohingya Muslims of Myanmar. They are a persecuted group in Myanmar or Burma that have actually been persecuted for quite some time, multiple centuries, which actually goes against the claims of the government that they immigrated from Bangladesh in the early 20th century. The fact of the matter is that the Rohingya have been continually persecuted for their religious orientation because Myanmar is an overwhelmingly Buddhist country. We do know Buddhists to be relatively welcoming, accepting people, but there are extremists who are worried, so they say, that the Muslims will take over the country, which we know to be false because they have been living peacefully with the people of Myanmar for the last few centuries. You can look back in their history, there is much evidence of them existing in the Rakhine or Arakan state, and they've just been continually persecuted, especially since General Aung San was assassinated in the late 1940s. That cut short a process of ethnic and religious healing, I guess, that was supposed to go down, and then since then they've just suffered continually under the military dictatorship. Now recently they did elect a civilian government, their leader being Aung San Suu Kyi, who was the daughter of the original founder of their independence movement, Aung San, but she has since denied any involvement of the Burmese government in the killing and genocide of the Rohingya. In fact, she hardly acknowledges that there is an issue. Just the other day she said there was a huge iceberg of misinformation going on both sides, and saying that there was violence on both sides, sort of equating the actions of the people of the Rakhine state, their self-defense, with the actions of the military in Burma, who are totally just going on a slash and burn campaign. Just the other day, the UN Secretary, I know it's funny to quote him, but the UN Secretary Antonio Guterres said that without a doubt there is a slash and burn tactic going on in Burma towards the Rohingya people, and can be called nothing else but ethnic cleansing.
And who's actually doing the persecuting here?
The persecuting is mainly the military. Part of the problem in Myanmar is that the military, in the constitution, it is said that they always have to control about 25% of the parliament, but the fact of the matter is that they control 100% of the security apparatus. So regardless of what the government really thinks, the military has ultimate control, but the government has not come out to condemn the actions of the military, which it did in the past, which Aung San Suu Kyi did very loudly in the past when she herself was under discrimination. And that's what's ironic about this whole thing, because Aung San Suu Kyi and her people were under persecution by the same military government for this whole time, but now rather than trying to change the ways, they're now in bed with them, silencing the media and opponents and all this.
So there's like a disconnect between the military and the actual government?
Yeah, there's a huge disconnect. In fact, Aung San Suu Kyi can't really be the president of Myanmar. It's in their constitution as well, because she has children and a husband with a foreign passport. So they kind of created a small sub-spot for her. But regardless, they can't affect the decisions of the military, unfortunately. And the military are conducting campaigns not just in the Rakhine state, but in other regions of Myanmar, but it is by far the most extreme in Rakhine. We already have seen, just to Bangladesh alone, 400,000 Rohingya fleeing. If you look across the map, Malaysia's accepted 250,000. Some countries like Indonesia have taken a bit less, about 1,000, but they have been fleeing in large numbers. And the sad thing is that the international community really isn't doing very much. Canada recently pledged about $2.5 million to Bangladesh to help deal with the influx of refugees, but that's hardly enough. We know it. I mean, they're just letting these people languish in these refugee camps. They get no food, they get no other sorts of aids. Obviously, they're not getting any sort of education, and it's crazy. The real fact of the matter, the base of the problem, is because the government of Burma doesn't recognize the Rohingya as people. They won't give them any rights or anything. They claim they're from Bangladesh, but like I said before, there's centuries of history that would say otherwise.
Insensible et qui ajoute à la détresse des personnes fuyant une campagne systématiquement de
5, 6, 7, 8. Stop the killing, stop the hate. Stop the killing, stop the hate. Stop the killing, stop the hate. Stop the killing, stop the hate.
We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first of all, and all the participants who came here today to show the support for the Rohingyas, our brothers and sisters, the most persecuted people on earth presently, the minorities in Myanmar, known as also Burma. And as you know, for the Muslim, this is wherever we're one ummah, we're one community. And whoever came here to show the support, you came for the right cause, because this is what the Ummah means, this is what the community means, this is what it means to be together. And also our non-Muslim friends, whoever came to show this support, this is where humanity, this is one community, we are one people, one community, and we really appreciate your support. And you see, this is something we need to raise our voice, because often this is happening in the East and many people, they don't know about it, because whenever there's something happens in the West, there's a lot of media attention, but whenever something ethnic minority, ethnic cleansing like the Rohingyas taking place, there's very little world media attention. So if we come together and if we show our support, that's how, you see, the world's going to know about it. We have to obviously, you see, raise our voice individually. We have to reach out to our elected officials in the city level, in the provincial level, and as well as our MPs in the federal level. You can you can write the letters. You can also write the letters on behalf of your mosque or all the organizations that you represent or associated with. And of course, any rallies like this, we have to come forward and we have to support this cause, because this is how we get the words out. So on behalf of the organizers, Brother Majid and all the organizers, we thank you all for coming here today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for being here today, and inshallah we will continue the rally, and there will be different, you see, people coming and presenting their information. But stay together, and inshallah towards the end we will have another information session, another speech inshallah. But this is something very important. This is very important to be here today and voice our opinion and show our support for our brothers and sisters in the Rohingyas, who are the most persecuted people on earth. So inshallah, without further delay, inshallah we will start. And this is of course a peaceful rally. We are here for peace. We are here to make sure that, you see, our voices are heard. At the same time, we're going to maintain, inshallah, we will do this peacefully. Inshallah, we will have our voice, but at the same time, make sure that we don't, on the way, we don't do, we don't we take care of the streets and the people in the surroundings. And inshallah, we'll continue this. And whenever you have the opportunity to stand up for justice, because this is what humanity is all about. You stand up for justice, you stand up for the people who don't have the voices, and you give the voices to the people. You coming here together, this is giving the voices to people who can't speak for themselves, who don't have any voices on the world right now. But you being here today, this is giving the voices to the people of the Rohingyas. And this is our solidarity with the people of the Rohingyas. May God bless you all for coming here today, and may God bless you all for showing this support. And whoever in the world, wherever in the world people are suffering, we should voice our opinion, and we should come together and show our support, inshallah.
The first individual, her name is Noor Kajol. And she says, "My name is Noor Kajol. I am 10 years old. I was very happy in my village because I was studying at the village madrasa. I like learning the Quran and I wanted to memorize it. I lived with my family and we were 7 in total. The house was not very big, but I liked living there. We had to flee because our house was attacked by the military. The military started shooting us. I was inside the house when they shot my father through the window. The bullet hit him in his head. He fell on the floor and a lot of blood was coming out of his head. I was really scared. I was crying a lot. We ran away leaving our father. The military burned our house while my father was still inside. We had to run away to the forest and hide in the trees. We walked 3 days to get to Bangladesh. It was very difficult. I was hungry. I missed my father a lot.
Now, I organized a Facebook page and I contacted the police officers, although it's a humanitarian, it's all human together. We're all organizing together. We're all working together towards the cause to stop genocide in Burma.
We are here. Tell your children not to fear. Tell your children not to fear. Tell your children not to fear. Tell your children not to